Today's video lesson is on solving right triangles. We'll be learning to solve right triangles using trig ratios and find the lengths of sides or measures of angles using trig ratios. First thing we'll learn is how to use the graphing calculator or scientific calculator. We'll use a calculator to find the measure of an angle if we're given a decimal, as in this one, for the ratio. Here is 1/2 or 0.5, the ratio that we would find for the tangent. Let's say I want to know the measure of the angle. Go to your calculator, inverse tangent. So most calculators it's going to be the second key or shift key and then tangent. So it'll look like this, tan to the -1 power. That means the inverse tangent. Inverse gives you the measure of an angle. Type in the 1/2 or 0.5 and then press enter. So it's about 26.6 degrees or 27 degrees. If we do the other calculation, which was the inverse sine of 0.5, the second problem, I'll do that one on here right away. Type in second sine 0.5 and then enter, and that would be 30 degrees. So this one was approximately 27 degrees. And the other angle was approximately 30 degrees. Find the measure of angle A and B. For this example, I'm going to start with angle A. I only need to use a trig ratio once. The other angle I can find by subtracting from 180 degrees. We'll look at the ratio, opposite over adjacent. This is our SOHCAHTOA ratio. Opposite over adjacent, that is tangent. To get our angle, we'll take the inverse tangent of opposite 48, adjacent is 55. Go to the calculator and figure out the. You can usually type in the ratio right away. I'll just type in 48 divided by 55 and get a measure of 41 degrees. Once I know the measure of this angle is 41 degrees, we know this one is already 90. We take 180 minus the 90 minus 41 degrees, and we'll be left with our third angle, which will be 49 degrees. And we're done. We need all of the sides and all of the angles. We'll start by the simplest thing to find in this problem is finding angle B. If we take 180 minus 90 degrees used up by angle C, we have 90 degrees left. If we take 90 degrees and subtract the 26-degree angle, we're left with a 64-degree angle for angle B. Now we have to find the other two legs. I'll label these two sides X and Y. This is the same thing we've been learning and using. So once again, if we put our acronym at the top of our sheet, SOHCAHTOA, it'll be easier for us to figure out which ratio to use to figure out the missing sides. Let's find x first. Pick the angle that we started with. You can use either angle that you would like. I think it's easier just to start with the angle that was given. I need to find the leg opposite. I know the hypotenuse. Leg opposite and hypotenuse is the sine of the angle. This becomes the exact same thing we've just practiced. Sine of the angle, which 26 degrees is the angle, equals opposite is x, hypotenuse is 4.5. Cross multiply, sine 26 degrees times 4.5 will give us x. We'll go to our calculators and figure out our answer. Our answer is 1.97. Next, we'll find y. To find y, once again, we look at from angle A. Always pick an angle to start with. I need to find the leg adjacent. I know the hypotenuse. Leg adjacent to hypotenuse is cosine. Cosine of the angle 26 degrees equals y over 4.5. Again, I will make this into a proportion so I can simply cross multiply. I then know how to set it up in the calculator. Is it a multiplying problem or dividing problem in the calculators? Cross multiply, we take cosine of 26 times 4.5 equals y. Solve for y. Go to the calculator, 4.5. And enter, and we get 4.04. So y is 4.04. And we've solved the triangle. We found all the sides and all three angles. Let's look at an example where we have to find one side and two different angles. On the last example, we knew an angle. In that case, all we do is subtract to get the other angle and then use the SOHCAHTOA ratios to figure out the missing sides, which is no different than the problems that we just practiced solving for x and y. On this problem, we need to first find one of the angles, A or B. So we're going to be using our new calculator inverse tan, inverse sine, inverse cosine notation in order to solve it. Pick an angle. It doesn't matter which one you want to find first. So I'll pick angle A. We look at what do we know? We know the two sides will give us or tell us which trig ratio to use. I know the leg opposite and I know the leg adjacent. Leg opposite and leg adjacent is the tangent ratio. So tangent of the angle A equals leg opposite, which is 20, over the leg adjacent, which is 21. To put this in the calculator, remember, anytime you want to find the angle and you know the ratio, we're going to use the inverse tangent. So in the calculator, we'll type in inverse tangent of the ratio, 20 over 21. Again, you can leave it as a fraction. You don't have to find the decimal for it. You should be able to type it in your calculator just as is. Type in inverse tangent, so second tan to get inverse tangent of 20 divided by 21. Close off the parenthesis and enter, or equals 43.6. We'll round this, since it's a degree, to 44 degrees. To the nearest degree is fine. Now that we know this angle is 44 degrees, again we have 180 minus the 90 will give us 90 degrees left for these two angles A and B. If we take 90 and subtract 44 degrees, we get 46 degrees left for angle B. In any one problem you have to solve the triangle, you should only have to have two trig ratios total used in the problem. Now I'll find the hypotenuse, side x, using a trig ratio. I'm going to pick an angle A. You can choose either angle to start from. Whatever angle you choose from will then decide what to use for your trig ratio. What's different about this one is we know two different sides. Pick one side that you need to know or find, which is, in this case, the only one, the hypotenuse, the side I labeled x. And what do I know? Two different sides. All you have to do is pick one of them. I'll pick the side opposite. Opposite leg and hypotenuse is the sine ratio. Sine of the angle 44 degrees equals, leg opposite is 20, the hypotenuse is x. Cross multiply. Sine 44 degrees times x equals 20 times 1. We can see by the cross multiply step on this problem, 20 times 1 equals 20, that we're going to have to divide to get x by itself. In the calculator, I'll go and type in 20 divided by the sine of 44. Our answer is 28 we'll round it to the nearest tenth, 8 equals 28.8. And that's all we have for today. The trig ratios are the same. Just remember, if you want to find an angle, use this inverse key.